Abrupt, climate change, redrawn borders, and magnetic barrier walls. Turkish filmmaker Semih Kaplanoglu has come up with an ambitious post-apocalyptic story, Grain, which has its world premiere at the Sarajevo Film Festival. And we sent Elif Bereketli to ask him about it.
Turkish filmmaker Semih Kaplanoglu took a long break after his big international splash with the Yusuf trilogy. That came to an end last week at the Sarajevo Film Festival, where he presented his new drama, Grain. This post-apocalyptic story is set in a world split between cities and agricultural zones called deadlands. There, genetically incompatible immigrants suffer from drought and epidemics.
We are always in a dream. We will wake up when we die.
The widely experienced filmmaker explains that he's taking his cue from ecology and spiritualism in his most complex and ambitious production so far.
Yani aslında film bence şunu söylüyor, diyor ki
Science, information and technology have to absorb spirituality. Look at how the world is suffering now. We have technology everywhere. But did it help us raise the curtains covering the reality in the universe? No. Could it touch our souls? No. We have wars, GMO, cancer, epidemics everywhere. What did we do wrong? What this film Grain basically says is that whatever happens outside of us is also happening inside of us. And we can only fix the world only if we remedy our cold, materialistic inner worlds.
You cannot endure this journey.
I'll try.
So the film is set in the near future, but is dealing with today's issues such as GMO, migration or pollution, and it has many references to the past as well. It's hard to understand which time period does this story belong to, or should we just simply call it timeless?
metaforları.
Yes, it's a timeless movie because emotions are timeless. They don't change with centuries. And my concern is them, emotions.
So, Grain, according to many, is a dystopian sci-fi movie, but I know that you don't want to name it that. Why not? What sets Grain apart from sci-fi?
Şundan dolayı çünkü yani yola çıkan...
Because Grain is not fast-forwarding time like sci-fi or stopping it like dystopias do. In Grain, our concern is today's world. We might not have magnetic walls as yet, but we have other harsh borders. Borders between interpersonal relationships, borders between countries, classes. Trump is building walls. Palestinians stay behind walls. The point of walls is an important one, and it's today's issue, or maybe a timeless issue, but definitely not only the future's.
So Grain stands out in your filmography. It's set in a different time, it's black and white, not what people are used to seeing in Kaplanoglu cinema. Would you agree that it's a different type of movie than other ones?
I don't believe there is any gap in my filmography. Yes, the space, the casting and the time frame is different, but not what I understand from directing a movie. They asked me whether I came up with an international movie. No, of course not. The reason why it was in English was because I wanted a monolingual world. That was what the story required. Does it unite or divide us more that only one language is taking over the world? This is what I wanted to ask.
So why did you shoot the film in black and white and with 35mm in a time when everything is shot digitally? Is this a message, or did you just simply think that it was what the story required?
We wanted to create a world that is both existent and non-existent, an indefinite universe, a unique aesthetic. A scene might start in Detroit streets, continue in a dormitory in Cologne, and end in a design space in Konya. For the viewer, this is just one coherent world. But it was like a puzzle for us to bring that to life. We wanted it to be seamless. Making it black and white was the only way to do it. So it was a very aesthetic decision in that sense.
So Grain is the symbol of science in many Eastern traditions. Does it have the same connotation in your movie?
Buğdayın aslında formunda biliyorsunuz karnında bir elif harfi.
Well, of course, I've always looked for inspiration in Anatolia. Eastern literature plays a big part in this movie too, and also the Quran. Al-Kaf Surah of the Quran served as the basis for Grain. Yunus Emre as well. There is a legend about him concerning the grain and the breath. When he's asked, he chooses grain over breath and he regrets it after. Grain represents science, breath represents spirituality here. The idea of grain forms the main philosophical strain in the movie. I think wheat is everything you need to survive. It looks like the first letter of the Arabic alphabet, which also has a big significance in Sufism. But the wheat also resembles a sperm. It grows bigger, it feeds us. That's why when we genetically modify a seed, we genetically modify ourselves too. In order to reach out to the grain, you need the breath, which gives life to it.
Ama buğdayın da ötesi var, nefes var.
It's been 7 years since the Yusuf trilogy, which brought you great international acclaim and many awards, including the Golden Bear at Berlinale. Where do you think you stand in your directing career now?
Şimdi şöyle aslında
Well, the people, the institutions trusted me after the trilogy, and I could eventually have a bigger budget. This way I could realise the cinematic ideas I've had for a while. But whether I've matured as a director, or whether this is better or worse than the Yusuf trilogy, that's not for me to tell. Let other people and time decide.
yüksek olanaklarıyla meydana getirmek istediği
Thank you so much for your time.